Chapter 3 The Ghost of Christmas Present. Scrooge awoke at the stroke of the 2 of the clock. He heard a faint noise that sounded like laughter. Yes, very much so. Very jovial laughing indeed. His bedroom had been transformed. The walls and ceiling were hung with so perfect living green that it looked like a grove. The leaves of holly, mistletoe, and ivy were reflected back at the light, and such a mighty blaze went roaring up the chimney, heaped upon the floor to form a kind of throne, with turkeys, geese, great joints of meat, yes, pigs, long wreaths of sausage, mince pies, plum puddings, barrels of oysters, red-hot chestnuts, cherry-cheeked apples, juicy oranges, and luscious pears, and great bowls of punch and immense 12th cakes. Upon this couch there sat a giant spectre, glorious to see, who bore a glowing torch. Oh, come in and know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas Present. Look upon me. You have never seen the likes of me before, I'm sure. No, spirit, never walked forth with my older brothers. I don't think that I have. You have many brothers? Scrooge asked. Oh, 1842 to be exact. Scrooge looked upon the ghost as instructed. He looked to the left side of the giant and noticed a scabbard on his hip, but with no sword. I see you wear a scabbard, sir, but with no sword. Oh, indeed. Peace on earth, goodwill toward men. At these words, Scrooge looked disappointed, but not at the ghost, but within himself, slowly seeing the error of his ways. Spirit, conduct me where you will. I shall. Then touch my robe and let us be off then. And with that, the contents of Scrooge's room vanished, and they were transported to the Christmas morning. The city streets of London were filled with a myriad of joyous people heading off to celebrate the day. Welcome, Scrooge. Welcome indeed to Christmas morning. Scrooge and the ghost then made their way throughout the city streets to various places where Christmas Day was being celebrated and preparations were being made for more celebration and merriment. The first shop they came upon was a bakery. Spirit, these poor people have no means to cook their food, and you seek to close the only places in which they can warm their meager meals every 7th day. Oh, hear me, Scrooge. There are some upon this earth of yours that claim to know me and my brothers, these so-called men of the cloth, but they are as strange and foreign to me and my kin as I am to you and yours. Charge the doings of ill will and foul deeds to them, not us. Scrooge, seeing that he made a grave error in placing blame, said meagerly, I will. The spirit in Scrooge then moved to the dwelling of Scrooge's clerk, his loyal clerk indeed, Bob Cratchit, and saw within his family preparing the Christmas meal. They stopped upon the threshold, invisible to all, and the spirit smiled and blessed Bob Cratchit's dwelling with the sprinklings of his torch. Then Scrooge inquired, I take it this pauper's dwelling has some significance then? 'Tis the home of your clerk. All he can afford on his meager 15 bob a week. The children of Cratchit then passed by Scrooge and the spirit, as if they weren't even there. The children were filled with joy, telling their mother, Mrs. Cratchit, about their Christmas goose they could smell. Oh, it smelled so wonderful. Mrs. Cratchit wondered what could be keeping Bob and their youngest child, Tiny Tim. Then one of the children said, No, there's father coming. In came Bob, his threadbare clothes darned up and brushed to look seasonable, and Tiny Tim on his shoulders. Alas for Tiny Tim, he bore a little crutch, and had his limbs supported by an iron frame. Mrs. Cratchit inquired as to how Tiny Tim behaved in church.
"Oh, as good as gold in bed, my dear. Somehow he gets so thoughtful, sitting beside himself so much, and he thinks the strangest things you ever heard. Yes, he told me, while we were coming home, that he hoped the people saw him in the church, because he was a cripple, and it might be pleasant to them to remember, upon Christmas Day, who made lame beggars walk and blind men to see. I believe he grows stronger every day, my dear."
Master Peter, the oldest of the Cratchit boys, along with his 2 younger brothers, then scurried off to fetch their goose, with which they soon returned in high procession. The dinner was made up, everything was made up perfect. All the food smelled marvelous, and the whole family sat down to eat. Scrooge then focused his gaze upon Tiny Tim, whom he felt sorry for. A foreign feeling to Scrooge indeed. Spirit, tell me, will Tiny Tim survive? Will he make it to see another Christmas? I see a vacant chair without an owner. If things stay the way they are, these images I see before you will remain unaltered, and the boy will die. No, not Tiny Tim. He mustn't die. The spirit then looked upon Scrooge sternly, and spoke with harshness. Well, if he is to die, then he had better do it, and decrease the surplus population. You use my words against me, sir. They are your words, Scrooge, and you must live with them. The 2 focused their attention back on the family. The Christmas pudding had been brought in. Before the family took a single bite, Bob stood up and said to his family, "Before we eat this marvelous pudding, I would like to make a toast to the man who pays me wages, and to the founder of the feast, Mr. Scrooge." Mrs. Cratchit scoffed, saying that Scrooge was a harsh man who didn't care about anyone and didn't deserve such an honor. Bob looked upon his family, then to the pudding, which was glorious in appearance, like a speckled cannonball, so hard and firm, blazing in a quart of ignited brandy, and bedight with holly on top, and looked to his dear wife.
"But, my dear, think of the children. It's Christmas Day."
Mrs. Cratchit reluctantly agreed, and stated that she would drink to his health, and to the days, and for the sake of the children, and of Bob, but not for Scrooge's. "Spirit, take me away from this place. I wish to see no more." The whole scene began to fade, and Scrooge, though he wanted to leave, kept his eyes upon Tiny Tim until the last. He and the spirit were off again, on their travels. Many more homes they passed, all with happy and thankful families. The last house they came upon was that of his nephew, dearest Fred. They looked in at a party scene. "Well, I feel sorry for my Uncle Scrooge. Christmas a humbug, he actually said that. And the fact that he is not here with us today is his loss, not ours. But all the same, a toast to Uncle Scrooge." The ghost and Scrooge then traveled to an open place. "My time is nigh, and you will soon see me no more." "Your time here is brief, then?" "Oh, very brief indeed." Just then, Scrooge looked down at the bottom of the ghost's robes. He saw something that looked like a claw. "I say, spirit, there at your feet, is that a claw or a bone?" "It might be a claw or bone with the scant amount of flesh upon it." "Good heavens, it's moving!" The spirit pulled open his robes to reveal 2 small, frightening children. One a boy, wolfish and ragged in appearance, and feral in behavior. The other, a girl, scantily clad, and nervous and weeping. "Look, Ebenezer, look! Look! Down here!" Scrooge looked down, afraid, and said, "Good Lord, spirit, are they yours?" "They are man's. This boy is ignorance, this girl is want. Beware of them both, Scrooge, but beware this boy most of all." The bells of the clock began to toll the midnight hour. The ghost began to slowly fade away. Scrooge then frantically inquired, "Have they no resource? Have they no refuge?" As the bells kept chiming, the ghost responded, in Scrooge's own voice. Are there no prisons? No workhouses?
It was a harsh final lesson from this ghost. As the last chime of the clock told its haunting, deafening clang, the spirit and the two children had faded away from existence. As the last sound ceased, it became quiet, save for the wind that was blowing. Scrooge then remembered the prediction of old Jacob Marley, and, lifting up his eyes, beheld a solemn phantom, draped and hooded, coming like a mist among the ground towards him. Hey everyone, that's going to do it for Chapter 3. Thank you so much for listening to this. This really makes me happy. I had a whole lot of fun doing this. I hope to get Chapter 4 done after Christmas. This will be the end. Up until then, for me, I will post this so you can listen to it, like it, share it, discuss it with your friends, share it with your friends, and I will see you all after Christmas. And once again, have a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year.